So that's pretty big, but we also have something else that's really big that came out today. And so we move from one big thing to another big thing that's pretty current. So anybody who's a movie fan and knows that there are a multitude of different awards out there. You've got the SAGs, you've got, the Golden Globes, you've got everything. Well, the BAFTAs. The BAFTA is one of those awards. It's not as, I won't say popular, because it is on the other side of the pond. British, you know, Academy of Film and Television Association, but they do nominate films. And so I want to run through a couple of these different nominations with you, Tyler, and
Hmm.
get your impressions of it. So we're not going to do all of them, but I thought we'd do a couple of big ones. So we're going to start out with Best Director. Okay. So Best Director, you have Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front, Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonough, Decision to Leave, Park Chan Wook, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Daniels, and Tar, Todd Field. And we had the Woman King. We had the Woman King, okay? And so those were the six. Now, it's interesting because, let's face it, there's a couple of names, or one name, that's really missing. And the film's done pretty well overall. And that's Steven Spielberg. So let me ask you this. Number one, how much weight do you put in these nominations? And two, do you think they made the right decision in nominating these six people?
So here's the way I would say it is. I One of my mentor, he worked on the Fablemans, so I have skin in the game when it comes to that because I can't wait. He's going to be at the DGA Awards, and you know if he gets to win this award, it's going to be a phenomenal night. Now, I I like who they picked. I don't think it's going to have that much of a big impact on the Oscar voters because I think the Oscar voters are going to vote for whoever the hell they want to win and whoever they think is worthy. Now, the three that I'm most excited for out of this is um, Decision to Leave, which is absolutely phenomenal. I It was only in theaters for a short time, and I saw it here in Atlanta, and it blew me away. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Banshees, and I'm excited for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and also All Quiet on the Western Front. I think it's a different grouping, but it's an exciting thing. I'd be excited if any of them won because they're all phenomenal picks. Like, there's not a lackluster pick in this group at all. And that's very exciting to see.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I mean, I think that it's one of those things that you know um, because look, let's be honest, there are some films out there that just are not is not getting the love that they should. I mean, I think that the three films that really or four films that is in everybody's nominations is Everything Everywhere All at Once, Banshees, Tar, and The Fablemans. Those are the four that, I mean, universally, if you've gone and looked at all the nominations, whether it's SAG, whether it's Golden Globes, DGA, PGA, BAFTAs, they're pretty much okay. They're pretty much those four films are in everybody's nominations. Now it's going to vary a little bit. You know, you have Gina Prince Blywood that's in for the Woman King, whereas there are some other organizations that wouldn't have done it. I really, I hope we continue the trend of nominating a woman director because the film is good, not because of and guys, there is a difference. I want to make that perfectly clear. Okay, there is a difference between nominating a film that is a great film and nominating a film directed by a woman because she's a woman. I don't want that. I want it because she's a great director. So that being said, I was glad to see her finally get um, some love.
I
So let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I think also, I just thought about this. I think I think it's a very interesting choice for them to nominate All Quiet on the Western Front because that film right now, when it came out in this time, is hitting very close to home with the war going on in Ukraine right now, with Ukrainian and Russian soldiers fighting trench to trench. I think I I think that's a beautiful thing that they're nominating a film about a war that was supposed to end all wars. So honestly, I'll say this as well. I think it should get more love. I think All Quiet should get more love because now, unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet, and I will. But even my brother saw it, and he said it was beautiful, haunting, disturbing, but an amazing, amazing film. So I'm glad. I'm glad. And honestly, too, I'm a huge Top Gun Maverick fan. So that missing that kind of hurt a little bit, but I don't think they made any wrong choices here at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So I agree with you. If All Quiet does end up getting in, it will probably be a 9 or a 10 for the Academy Awards, which isn't a bad thing. I still want to see it nominated. So let's move on to original screenplay real quick. So you have the Banshees, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablemans, Tar, Triangle of Sadness. Now, let me ask you, this is original screenplay, so there's a difference between original and adapted. We'll get to adapted here in a minute. What do you think about these? Did they make a mistake? I mean, is it pretty status quo?
It's pretty status quo. I do find it very funny and great that they nominated Everything Everywhere All at Once, considering how just off the wall it is. And honestly, I think it's the most original screenplay that they have in that list. It's the most far out and the most creative when it comes to the story itself. I, and I think too, like I think it's a great thing to honor a man who's done so much for cinema itself with nominating The Fablemans, which was written by Spielberg and Kushner. I love this list, and Banshees is heartbreaking, but yet poetic. I love these choices. Yes, I love them.
Yeah, I think there. To your point, I think it's pretty status quo. I mean, Triangle of Side. I will say one thing: Triangle of Sadness has not. And look, just because it doesn't appear everywhere doesn't mean it's a bad film. That limits that perfectly clear. I think that that's probably the one that people, if you went up to 10 film critics and said, okay, which one of these would you eliminate? They'd probably take out Triangle of Sadness.
So
Probably. So
so I'll share a personal story about Triangle of Sadness. Um, one of the first sets I ever worked on, I worked on. It was my biggest stint up until that point in 2017. I worked on Black Lightning, which was the CW show, and Charles B. Dean, she was one of the actresses on the show. She played one of the henchmen of one of the main villains, and she was the actress who passed away from Triangle of Sadness. So she was on one of my first ever movie sets, and when I heard she passed, I'm like, I know that face. I know that face. And I knew the name, and I was trying to figure out why. And I literally pulled up my first call sheet when I did my month on Black Lightning, and she was the first. She was on that call sheet, so I wanted to share that. And I think it's good to see a film like that. it's outrageous too, and it's original. So yeah, I don't think that there's one on that list that doesn't deserve to get nominated or win it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that it's probably it's another one of those films that just doesn't is not getting the love that it should. Okay, let's move to adapted screenplay. This one
Okay.
is always interesting. So we have All Quiet on the Western Front, Living, The Quiet Girl, She Said, and The Whale. So of those five, I mean, once again, and it looks like All Quiet did really, really well, which is good to see. So, do you think that what were your thoughts about how they did the adapted screenplay?
Now, for me, wait, living is I saw Living at Sundance. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just forgetting
Okay.
that. And that is I cried. I bawled my eyes out watching it. So, and She Said is a very damning film about, the Harvey Weinstein story breaking and the women reporters who brought that to light and were able to get it to the finish line and actually published. And All Quiet on the Western Front is, I think, it's literature that is considered one of the best books in one of the greatest books in history. So I think they nailed it. I think they nailed it. And for me, those are the three that are the strongest out of them. I have never seen The Whale and I've never seen The Quiet Girl, but I think they made a great, I think they picked the right ones. And yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that, I mean, I haven't seen The Whale either, and I think I absolutely want to. To your point, She Said is just, you know, it's one of those films that it's, it's one of those films that's just, I mean, and it's always going to be compared to like Spotlight or The Post or All the President's Men, but it was really, really good. I think the other thing why it didn't do so well, I think it was a couple reasons. Number one, it was it's a niche type of film. Okay, it's a niche type of film. So let's face it, unless you are in Hollywood or you're around Hollywood or whatever, like yourself, or you know stories, it's very hard to um, get a grasp on it. Okay, because it is one man and it's doing this and everything else. The other thing too is if you look at what was going on in out at that time, there were a lot of good movies around, and that was probably one of the things that made that film suffer. Now, it shouldn't have suffered the way it did. It didn't even make $3 million take home. But I'll say this: I love the film. I love the film. I did a double feature, and yeah, I loved it. So
And here's what I'll say about that is, and I was thinking about that as we started talking about this, is I think it'd be a very I think it would be a revolutionary thing and a very damning thing for the BAFTAs to vote and to have She Said win, because that is another side of this industry damning Hollywood for its complicity in Harvey and what he did. I think that would be a beautiful thing for She Said to win Best Adapted Screenplay, because that would be a damning condemnation of what Harvey did and vilify the women who helped bring this to light, because they suffered after they did all this. It was the scrutiny and everything else that came on these women after the story came out. I think that's a big deal too, and I think it would be a big. I think it'd be a big thing to see that film win, because Harvey's ultimately probably ultimately going to die in prison. And it's because of those women coming out and saying and telling their truths that that was it. But I think she said could be the final nail in Harvey's coffin,
Yeah.
which I think is a beautiful. As I said, as we were talking about this, I'm like, you know what? That's a beautiful thing, and I would be so happy to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I mean, it's a fantastic movie, and it's kind of sad in the simple respect that all of the cast or all of the crew that worked so hard on that film. I mean, you're a PA, you've been in the business for quite a long time, and you guys, PAs and everything else, bust their asses 12, 13, 14 hours a day, and unfortunately, and that goes into a whole other argument for another time. But this is why the Oscars don't do well, and it's because that 2/3 of the awards are below what's called below the line. Okay, and that's you know cinematography, editing, sound, visual effects, and it runs the gamut. Everything you don't see on screen. Okay, what he does, what everybody else does. Okay, but the only people that really get the credit for this are the directors, the actors, the actresses. That's it.
Now,
And
I will say this though, I think I think we need to set a new precedent that slowly is starting to happen, and that is when they win these awards. Spielberg shouting out the PAs that worked on the Fablemans because he himself was um, John Cassavetes' production assistant when he started out. I think if if I was on a film and I was a PA on an Oscar-worthy film and it won, that's the recognition that I would want to see because we are not going to get the awards, but if we have our names or our group shouted out on the national stage like that, that's enough praise for me at the moment. And I think that should be the new precedent set is show some appreciation and respect for the people that are there probably well after the director leaves and are there 2 hours maybe before the director even gets to set and crew get to set. So I think that's where that can change. We need more directors to be like that. And I think as well, if you're a director that doesn't respect your PAs and crew, I think that should follow you. And I don't think that that's a kind of badge of honor that you want because it even in the public eye, it could look very bad on you to be that kind of person, even if you're the most amazing director of all time.
yeah, no, I agree with you because and I'm not saying that you are, or I'm just going to use the term because PAs essentially they're grunts.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
so, I mean,
That's not
and so
derogatory.
that
We
being
are.
said, and
Yeah.
if you can get the recognition and you're on a film like that wins an Oscar, you're never going to get up on stage. But if you had, but I think that, the last thing I'll say to this, it's all about the stars.
Yep.
It's all about the stars saying, you know what, if we win, we're going to take care of you.
And shout out let the stars do the same
Yeah.
thing because
So,
there are PAs that are literally attached to their hip called first team PAs. And they are the ones that are getting them food, getting them water, making sure they're there. They're coming back to and from their from their trailers on time. Shout out the PAs that I think that's another thing. Like the actors should too. Now, the first time that I really saw that happen was Billy Bob Thornton won, I think it was a Golden Globe for, um, oh my God, it's the
Sling Blade?
no Goliath.
Oh,
It was
okay.
for his TV show Goliath,
Okay.
and he shouted out. unfortunately, it was a PA that passed away,
Oh,
but he kind of started the precedent of bringing that to light. Have, yeah, the talent. If you really appreciate what we do, then shout them out, being like, you know what? Thank you to the PAs who were there helping me get my lunch, making sure I was on set on time, making sure that, you know, we got the tents that we needed to keep warm. You helped us get through our day, and we appreciate that. I think that should be the next press. That should be also the precedent set. Is that
yeah,
too? Because you know what, it will it will educate more people about what we do.
yeah. Okay, I totally agree with you wholeheartedly. So let's move to supporting actress. Now
Okay.
this one is very interesting, and we'll get to it in a couple of minutes. That why it's interesting. So you have Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Hong Chu for The Whale, Kerry Condon for Banshees of Inisherin, Dolly DeLong for Triangle of Sadness, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Carey Mulligan for She Said. Now, um, let me ask you this: who do you think is the favorite in this category? And we'll get to why it's interesting as soon as you're done. Who do you think is the
Uh,
favorite?
Honestly, with the role that it's going, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jamie Lee Curtis. I think it's going to be between Jamie Lee Curtis and Carrie Condon. I think they're both insanely talented and strong performances. And also I think it's a three-way, actually. I think it's a Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Carrie Mulligan. I think those are going to be the three that are going to ultimately be duking it out in the results themselves.
It's going to be interesting because um, it's going to be fat. I mean, Oscar nominations come out in less than a week, and we're definitely going to cover that here on the channel. Um, but you know, I think the two that everybody is looking at right now, it's a two. Angela Bassett is is probably, and I'm going to say probably, but it's still wide open. Probably the front runner. If Kerry Condon wins the BAFTA, it's a whole new game. It's a whole new game. Um, Hong Shu, of course, it's interesting. She was in another film this year that I loved, and that was The Menu. Um, so I'm really glad to see she's getting some recognition. And Carrie Mulligan, she said, I mean, we were just talking about that a couple of minutes ago. Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be that's going to be an interesting race because we don't know where Michelle Williams is going to end up. Is she
Yeah.
going to end up in Best Actress? And if she does, somebody else takes her spot, and we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So I think this is probably the only lock of the night. Okay, and that's supporting actor. So you have Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Barry Congdon for Banshees, Ki Wai Kwan for Everything All at Once, Eddie Raymond, The Good Nurse, Michael Ward for Empire of Light, and Albert Shearer. I'm gonna hit the actor for All Quiet on the Western Front. I think this is a lock. What do you think?
I think you're correct.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
I
it's
just
gonna be I think it's Keys night, and it's gonna be Keys night through this whole thing. And I think we're gonna be seeing him on the Oscar stage winning an award. And I think I think Brendan Fraser and Key are the rocky stories of this whole thing. And it's beautiful to see. Now, funny enough, I've only seen Everything Everywhere All at Once one time, but I still revisit Key's speech at the end, just talking about being kind. And that struck to me because it's like that's me. I've always been the positive. I've always looked at the positive on the upside, and that is how I survive. And I just love that speech at the end because it's like, just be kind. And I think that that's a message that, and it was funny. I was talking to my mom about this film. She watched it on the plane ride in November when we were all coming back from Miami, and she said it was too weird for her, but she didn't see the ending. She didn't get to freaking get to the ending with Key, and I'm about ready to send her that speech at the end and be like, it is weird. It is. It's probably one of the weirdest films ever nominated and ever gonna be nominated at the Oscars, but the message is clear. And I, I, and funny enough, I worked on Electric State, which is gonna have Key in it, and he I I'm trying to get on the film so I can be there on his last day when he films his last stuff for the film. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but from everybody that I talk to on the set who are good friends of mine, they say he is just like that. He is just as positive, asking the PAs if they need help with anything, and that makes my heart even more grow to having Key being an Oscar winner for this. And I think even for the BAFTAs, even winning a BAFTA, that sets a new precedent for Asian Americans as well in cinema. Keep it going. And again, I think it's great that he's going to win for a film that is probably the most far out film that you could ever think of. That literally has had legs since March, almost a year. And it's like Top Gun Maverick too. Like it, it's like the Loch Ness monster. You do not see those kinds of films. You don't see those legs on these films, and I think that's also. I think there's there's going to be a changing of that. That no matter where your film is situated, it still can be Oscar worthy and awards worthy, and it can still have that word of mouth almost a year later.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And so this has just been one of those films that has just kept going and going and going
Yep.
and going, and it's fantastic to see. So we move on now. Let's get to the three big categories, okay?
Uh
And we're
huh.
gonna do Best Actress first,
Okay.
leading actress, okay? So Kate Blanchett, Viola Davis for The Woman King, Daniel Detweiler for Till, Anna de Armas for Blonde, Emma Thompson for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um, wow, what a eclectic bunch we have here. Um, first of all,
I
give me your thoughts, and then tell me
I
who do
think
you
it's a
think
lock.
wins?
I
You
think
think
it's a
it's
lock. I think it's a lock for Michelle Yeoh. I think it's a lock for Michelle Yeoh. Um, I think that this is the strongest group that we have right yet, and it is every end of the spectrum when it comes to films. We have two. We have so many. We have a great representation within this nominations bracket. We have somebody Anna de Armas, who's from Argent. I think she's from Argentina. We have Daniel Deadwire. We have Viola Davis. We have Michelle Yeoh. Like it. That's a great. I think that is a great group to show that roles are evolving, and we are not just having these lackluster roles for women of color. We are actually having strong female roles altogether.
now? Here's a question I got to ask: of the six, which three or four? I mean, look, I would say this personally. it's a two-woman race
Hmm.
between Kate Blanchett and Michelle Yeoh.
Okay.
Um, that being said, you have three other spots.
Yep.
You have Anna de Armas, Dan, uh, Daniela Detweiler for Till, and Viola Davis. The only reason I don't include Emma Thompson in that is because she hasn't really. I won't say she doesn't. As far as award season is concerned,
Yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
more of you know, okay. Um, so I gotta ask, which one do you think of those four remaining? Which three do you think gets the nomination for the Oscar?
Um, I think you're correct. I think, and that's the thing too. I gotta watch Tar, and that's definitely gonna be on. Yeah. It's been a whirlwind of a year, and I keep hearing everybody is praising Blanchett for hers. So I gotta say, it's gonna be. I think you're right. It's gonna be between I think Kate Blanchett, Michelle Yeoh, and I'm gonna be bold and say um Daniel Deadweiler, maybe. I
That
think it's either gonna be Daniel Deadweiler or Viola Davis in this. I
and
think I think both are very strong, and um the thing that worries me about Daniel Deadweiler is I don't know if we, even as a white, like predominantly white, like academy, and how it, and with the lack of representation that is still happening within the academy, I don't know if we want to face that demon just yet with the subject matter that Till is addressing. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to be against Danielle Deadweiler, even though it's a phenomenally heartbreaking performance. I
yeah,
think that's going to be the biggest issue against that. You know, we're going to have to face it head on at some point, but I think it would be a bold statement to have her nominated, and as well as Viola.
well, I was just gonna say Anna de Armas because this would be the first time in recent memory that I can think of, and maybe I
Oh,
could go back and look. This would be the first time you'd have a actress in an NC-17 film.
yeah. I
So
didn't
I
think
mean,
about
that would
that.
look. I think you're going to have to break the mold at some point. Whether
Oh
it
my god,
is,
yeah.
whether
Any
it
film should be
is,
able to be nominated.
well,
Yeah.
here's the thing: either you're going to nominate somebody like a Daniel Detweiler for Till, or okay, you're going to nominate somebody like an Anna de Armas for Blonde, an NC-17 film.
Yeah.
I don't see it
I
happening both in 1 year. That isn't going to happen. Okay,
uh I,
that would just rock the
wilder
Academy.
things have happened.
True.
Like, you know, we didn't at the beginning of the race. I mean, I was Parasite I was a Parasite stan throughout the whole thing, and that's who I hitched my ride on. I wish I betted on the Oscars because I would have won a lot of money betting on betting on Parasite.
Yeah,
But I, wilder things have happened.
it has.
So, and with how crazy these last 3 years have been, 4 years since Parasite have been, I wouldn't bet against any of that
Yeah.
happening.
I mean,
So, and if the Academy wants to make a wave, that's exactly. I didn't think about the fact that Blonde it was NC-17.
yeah,
I forgot about that. So yeah, that's another that. As I said,
yeah,
crazier things have happened,
yeah,
and I think that would be, and also Argentinian. I think she's from
yeah,
Argentina too. So that would also be another great precedent to set. But also I think also wasn't oh my god, Javier Bardem's wife,
yeah,
Penelope Cruz. She's
yeah,
been nominated, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
She's
but
one.
still that would still be a great precedent to set to have somebody else, another woman of color,
Yeah,
all any of them. Any
I
of them
agree.
win. And I think
Okay,
that's yeah.
so let's move on. We got two left. We
Copy
got
you.
two left. So we got best actor. This one is once again, it's an interesting group. We have Austin Butler for uh, Elvis. We have Colin Farrell for um, Banshees. We have Brendan Fraser for The Whale. We have Daryl McCormick for Good Luck, Leo Grand. Paul Mescal for After Sun, and Bill Knightley for Living. Um, I gotta say that there are three there that, well, at least two there. Okay, After Sun is so. This is one of those categories that I think that there are at least three locks that are guaranteed nominations. Okay, and that is Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, and um, Brendan Fraser. Those three are locked in. Now, if you want to say that, Bill Knightley, who has been getting the nominations as of late, um, put him in there. So the other two, uh, the Paul Mescal and Daryl McCormick, probably not. So here is my question. Number one, who do you think gets the fifth slot? And number two, who do you think wins Oscar night?
Well, let's go. I who gets the fifth slot? I think
Who
Austin,
gets
as
the
you
fifth
said,
slot?
I think Austin's. You're right. Austin will get nominated. Colin will get nominated. Um, I do think. I think
Brendan's a
Brendan
lock too.
Fraser. I think
Yeah.
Brendan should be a lock. I think Bill Nye should definitely be a lock.
Okay, so that being said, four out of the five are taken. Who would be your fifth person to
I
put in
think
there?
After Sun should get something from this because I I I got to see a little I got to see bits and pieces of After Sun, and Paul Mescal's performance is great. And I think shedding a light a little bit on mental illness would be a big um would be a big win as well. And I'd be interested to see how that all turns out. So yeah, I think Paul
You know,
Mescal has a
I
stronger
would
chance.
I would tend to agree with you. Okay. However, if you look at the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 years, going back to Silver Linings Playbook, the Academy has had a track record where they could very easily have, as you put it, put a light on it.
Oh no,
Ha-
I
have
think I
have
don't know
shied
how.
away from it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And whether it's Silver Linings Playbook, whether it's, you know, I mean, A Star is Born with
Yeah.
alcoholism, with
Yeah.
whatever it is, they don't like to take these kind of films. They can be the most powerful things in the world. But the problem becomes that they don't like to put a light on it. Now, I agree with you. I think they
Yeah. Oh
should.
yeah. I
But
think
what they will do and what they should do is two totally different
I
things.
think Austin could win. I think Austin and Colin are the strongest out of on it, and that's the thing too. I can't. It's very. That's a very strong category to have. Um, Heart of Hearts, I would think Brendan Fraser should win because I don't know if I'm gonna see The Whale because I've heard it's just wrecks you and you know it's not easy to watch at all. So that might be what holds me back from seeing it. But I'm a big Brendan Fraser fan, and I think his from all I've heard, his performance is great. I, I don't know. I don't
I
know who could win this, dude.
I think that the Critics' Choice win absolutely moves him forward in the race. He's back in this. Okay.
Yeah,
Moreover than that, though, so who would you put in that fifth slot?
I
Would
think
you?
it's
Let me ask you this. I know this is an unpopular thing to
I
say.
think it's Paul. I think it's Paul behind Bill.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
Paul
So
Mescal.
Tom
I
Cruise
don't
wouldn't.
know if Dan. I never saw Good Luck to You, Leo Grand,
I don't think a
but
lot of people have.
yeah, and that's a shame because it's, you know, it it was a Sundance darling film that a lot of people liked at Sundance in 2021.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very sad thing for it to happen. But I think Paul Mescal could be that fifth slot for
Okay.
sure. And but
So
also, who knows? There could be somebody else that comes out of left field that you're like, "Oh my
look,
god, like
look.
that's a perfect
There is
choice."
there is no. I mean, I know it's probably an unpopular choice with a lot of people. Don't be shocked if Tom Cruise makes it in there.
As I said, I mouthed that
Don't be
Tom Cruise.
shocked on Oscar nomination day if
And
they say Tom Cruise is his last nominee.
and listen, that's who, I think I've said this before. That's who I'm. It's gonna be between Everything Everywhere All at Once and Top Gun Maverick are gonna be those films that I've had my horses hitched to. And if Tom Cruise wins for Top Gun
Oh, he
Maverick,
won't win, but he'll get nominated.
oh, but I will say this: crazier things have
No, you're
happened.
right.
So watch out.
Yeah, yeah.
like I think that would be a great start to the year to have somebody like Tom win for a role that, as a Top Gun
I
fan,
think
I wasn't
if
expecting it to
Tom
be as
Cruise
that good.
wins, I think if Tom Cruise wins, this is going to be more of an appreciation Oscar.
His
And the reason I say
performance is
that, and the
great.
reason I say that,
I can't.
no, I don't like it. I don't like it either. But
I don't think
look,
it's an
he's been
appreciation thing.
nominated 3 times already. Magnolia, Born on the Fourth of July, Rain Man. I've always said he's a better dramatic actor than he's action guy. Everybody knows him from Top Gun, Mission Impossible,
But
And look, he can do sci-fi, Edge of Tomorrow, War of the Worlds.
let's.
But the one thing, and the man's made billions, and look, he doesn't care about money. He doesn't care about fame. He doesn't. He just wants to make films the right way. It's kind of like I'm going to compare it to Angela Bassett. Angela Bassett is a fantastic actress. She's been around the game for 30, 40 years. Okay.
Hmm.
The one thing that's not on her mantle, Tyler, is an Oscar. I
Yeah,
think if she
but
wins, it's going to be not an appreciation Oscar. Because I think a lot of people out there would say, look, there are better acting performances. Because I won't say they dropped the ball in 2019 or 2018, but that being said, though, if Tom Cruise were to somehow miraculously pull this out, okay, this would be an appreciation Oscar over the past 40 years to say thank you for your service, thank you for what you've done for cinema, thank you for your. I know I don't
I
like it either,
no, no,
but
no.
it's the
But
truth.
here's the thing: I don't think that that's a right way to look at it because I think Tom's look at fu- um I'll compare it to this. I think his moment with Val Kilmer is the same kind of moment that happened in Captain Phillips at the end,
Mm,
where Tom Hanks just breaks down crying out of nowhere after being saved. Listen, I think his freaking performance with Val Kilmer and that speech alone is Oscar worthy enough and beautiful. I don't I would say if this was maybe 10, 15 years from now and Tom hadn't won yet, maybe that would be an appreciation Oscar, but I think his dramatic I think the dramatic him as a him as it blew me away. His performance as uh as as
Maverick.
Maverick.
Yeah.
So I
So
don't think I'm sorry. I just don't
yeah.
agree with the fact
No.
that it's not an that wouldn't be an appreciation
No. I
Oscar.
know.
You know, I think I think it would be. I think the thing that would get him nominated would be that speech with him and Val Kilmer
I
because
agree.
it it broke everybody.
Mhm.
And even people that weren't huge Top Gun fans, I think were gravitated to that. So I don't
So,
know.
okay, yeah. So let me ask you this real quick. So who do you think wins Oscar night? Do you think it's Austin Butler?
I I think for me, I don't want to put a I don't want to put a name to it. I don't want to put I don't want to predict it. I think Austin is a big. I think that'd be bad. I think that'd be amazing to see Austin win for
Yeah,
sure. I think it
yeah,
could, and I think his performance as Elvis is great.
yeah.
So whoever
So
it is gonna be, whoever I think this is gonna be like another. No, I think whoever wins is gonna be very deserving of that win.
I
And
agree. I agree with you
I don't
wholeheartedly.
know. I
I
don't
agree
know.
with you wholeheartedly.
I think Austin is a
Okay,
good choice though.
so let's move to the last category. Okay, and
Top of
this
you.
one is the big one, best film. So we have, and boy, do we have a stacked lineup here. All Quiet on the Western Front, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar. Those are your five. Now, most
Okay.
notably is the missing element there is the Fablemans. Now,
I
not
was
to
gonna say
say,
Top Gun Maverick as
and
well.
Top Gun
Is
Maverick. So, where, I mean, I don't know. What do you think of these five? Do you think they got it
I
right?
think
Do you
it's a
think
good. I
they
think they made good choices. I think they definitely made good choices. Um, I wouldn't count out the Fablemans at all or Top Gun Maverick. Um, how many? How many are supposed to be nominated for Best Picture this year?
10? So it is a hard 10. A hard
I
10.
think Top Gun Maverick and I think Fablemans are definitely going to get
Oh,
nominated,
no doubt.
and I think this doesn't deflate any of the power that those two films have. Out of this list, I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go with the Daniels. I think the
Yeah,
Daniels have a chance to win a BAFTA for this.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think all of these films are absolutely going to get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Okay. If
Hmm.
you now include The Fablemans, if you now include, um, if you include that one, if you include All Quiet on the Western Front, okay, which, I mean, is there, but I mean, I still think that's not getting enough
Oh no,
love.
it needs to be. It
So
needs to be loved more for
there
sure.
are, I think, seven that are pretty much locks, and there's one here. So I think I won't say the locks, but the ones I think you can probably or be safe with is
Okay.
this is for the Oscars now. Avatar: The Way of Water,
Okay.
Elvis, The Fablemans, Tar, Top Gun, Banshees, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Those are the ones I think are safe. Okay. Now that's seven. Okay. So if that's seven, who takes eight, nine, and 10?
Oh my god, that's a good choice. That's a great question to
I
have.
mean, I have a couple of ideas.
What's your suggestions?
So it's all going to depend on how well it does. I think RRR is going to definitely win Best Original Song. This is coming out of nowhere. I mean, I think
Yeah.
you know, um, before I would have said it was Hold Your Hand, but Lady Gaga has an Oscar. I would have said it's the
But I
Rihanna
think
song.
Hold Your Hand is a good I think that could be second place
Right,
in the Oscar vote for
right.
sure. A tight
So
second up there.
so Rihanna, I think RRR is definitely
Yeah.
gonna
I think
get
it yeah,
nominated,
I
if
think
not
you're right.
win. But if that's the only one it gets, I don't know if it's gonna make it into Best Picture.
As
So
I said though,
that being
crazier
said,
things
no,
have happened
you're right, Tyler.
and it's
That being
like
said, now if that's the case, if that's the only precursor, okay, then you look at something like The Woman King. Then you look
that
at
could be
something like
great.
Afterlife. Then you look at something like then these are these pictures that go, Okay, well, we haven't really given it enough love.
What
A Black
films?
Panther Wakanda Forever. So there are definitely there is definitely some wiggle room here. So, of let's say the five or six I just named, who
What
would
was
you
the
put
one
in there?
after with what was the one that you said Life?
After After Sun.
Oh, After Sun. After Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think that could be I think I think After Sun could get nominated for Best Picture. I I I don't see that as being too far out. I don't know if Wakanda Forever has the Best Picture. Unfortunately, and that's another thing. I gotta watch Wakanda Forever. I missed out on that
well,
one, and I'll
and
watch it
here's
in
an interesting
February.
thing
But
too. Let's talk about this real quick. If Angela Bassett, I mean, because all things are probably going to say she's going to get nominated.
which would be
If
amazing.
if she doesn't get if she doesn't win, let's just say it's a you know, let's say it's a Jamie Lee Curtis, let's say it's a Kerry Condon, let's say it's somebody else that wins. Does Black Panther even get nominated?
I don't see, and that's the thing too. I think from all that I've heard about Wakanda Forever, I I keep hearing people say that Black Panther 2018 was a more stronger film
Hmm.
than Wakanda Forever. So I don't know if it's going to get nominated. Now, I do see it as maybe like an honoring of Chadwick Boseman, but I don't know. And I don't think one equals the other. I don't think one has to be there for the connection to happen for something else to happen.
Hmm.
Like I think Angela Bassett could win,
Yeah.
and the stuff that I have seen of her performance, I think she's the strongest performance in the film
And
for
we're not even
sure.
talking about. Listen, there's something else to keep in mind here. Is we're talking about precursors. There has never been an actor or an actress. I mean, yes, they've won under the line, below the line. There has never been a Marvel film to have an actor or actress a win above the line. Now, guys, let me say
Yeah.
one thing. When we talk about above the line and below the line, we're talking about acting and directing and best picture and everything else. Below the line is something like editing, cinematography, sound. So, but Angela Bassett, there has never been the Academy has never awarded a Marvel film above the line. So there is a multitude of different storylines and narratives here that I think are going to be fascinating for next week.
But here's the thing though. I don't know to nominate Wakanda Forever for Best Picture just to get I don't know if it's I don't I don't think of Wakanda Forever as an Oscar worthy Best Picture nomination. I really don't. Like the Marvel stands will say every goddamn movie that and also please don't come for me Marvel stands. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can I can take you guys on a little bit, but uh, as somebody that has worked on Marvel projects, I think the performances could be nominated, but I haven't seen it all together be a win. Now, Ruth Bader Carter should probably get nominated for costume. I would be all in on that because she is great at what she does. So give it to that. I
And
would love that. I would love that option. So
yeah,
give it to that.
so
But
I mean,
I just don't see it as being like an all around that would take out some other film.
mhm,
I, you know, I I might get hate for that,
yeah,
but
no,
it's gonna be like it. I would be cool to see all my friends that worked on it get be able to say that they worked on an Oscar nominated film like that. But I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
And this is what makes the races so exciting, guys, because we
When
have all
is the
these different
Oscars?
things.
When is the Oscar nominations?
Less than a week
Less
comes
than
out
a week
next week.
next week.
So this is what makes it so much fun and interesting. And we can talk about all this because you've got the BAFTAs and the SAGs and the PGAs and the DJs, and we don't, we can try and predict whatever we think is going to happen, but it's only going to be that time that it's going to be okay. This is what's actually going to happen until next week, and then we can put our money on those 5 people. Um, I want to thank Tyler for being with
Dude,
me because
always a
he is
pleasure.
definitely provided some fantastic insight, and he will be coming back on Sunday night for us as myself, as I said, myself, Kyle, and Destiny are going to be doing a breakdown, and we're going to critique it about the brand new episode of The Last of Us.
Get
Guys,
ready. Get ready, guys. If you haven't
I
watched it,
can't
watch it.
look.
Watch it.
I can't emphasize enough. We have a huge 2023 coming up for you guys. Um, we have Last of Us streams that just started. Okay, and we're a little less than a month away from the new Ant-Man movie. We've got Creed right around the
Yeah.
corner, March 3rd. We've got a multitude of spoiler casts coming up for you right here on the channel. So as that says, hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Okay, I want this to get out to the masses so everybody can see it. Um, I have a great time talking about films. Kyle, when he's here, has a great time talking about films. Tyler is in the business, and I know he loves talking about films. And
Hey.
we're gonna get this out to as many people as possible. But seriously, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and please drop us comment in the comment section. Who do you think is going to win Best Actor? Who do you think is going to win Best Actress? What do you think is going to win Best Picture? Okay, I'll get back to you. Kyle will get back to you, and we'll definitely talk about all this stuff. Give us your predictions about next week on The Last of Us. What do you think is going to happen? Um, yeah, so we've got a ton of stuff coming up for you on the channel um, this year, and so I can't wait to bring it to you. Kyle can't wait to bring it to you. I have a ton of stuff lined up, as I keep saying. I want to put together a roundtable. It's a little more on the informative and serious side. We'll talk about that at a later date, but stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for all the great stuff we got coming up on the channel. Okay, guys. Um, as I said to him, once again, thank you for joining me. It was an absolute blast to hear your insight and hear your knowledge about the industry and everything else. Um, Kyle will be back, and he'll be back on um, next week, and we will be doing some shows. So as we close today, I wanted to just say one thing, and that's we have some very interesting videos coming up for you guys in the coming days. One of them is going to be the top 5 film franchises of all time. What we think are the top 5 film franchises of all time. Another one is going to be John Williams. Top 5 scores for John Williams, probably top 7. He's going to be celebrating his 92nd birthday, and just amazing. I mean, he's been working with Steven Spielberg, the GOAT, for 50 years. So we've got that video coming up, and we got a ton of other stuff on the channel. So he is Tyler. I am David, and you have been watching Real Talks. Bye bye, guys.
Bye, guys.